All right, shalom, shalom. I want to start off with giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Wahab Kakwadash. I want to say good double honors to the apostles and the bishop elders of Great Millstone for teaching us his word in truth and sincerity and for ruling well. And salutations to the elect, with some of those men and women that believe in fear in the name of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, hopefully waiting for the day of our salvation. Okay, I'm the brother Gabar Yahweh from GMS Hawaii, coming at you with another live lesson. And today's live lesson is entitled, "It's One Big Club and You Ain't In It," right? And this is a quote from George Carlin. He was a former comedian. He passed away some time ago. But in his dialogue, or his monologue, and his show, this is what he said. And fair use, fair use.
Tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's against their interest. That's right. They don't want people who are smart enough to sit around the kitchen table to figure out how badly they're getting fucked by a system that threw them overboard 30 fucking years ago. They don't want that. You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. And now they're coming for your Social Security money. They want your fucking retirement money. They want it back so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. And you know something? They'll get it. They'll get it all from you sooner or later because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club.
Which this dude, George Carlin, he could have been a lesser luminary or one of those people who got pulled to the side and told certain things. Just like what happened with Aaron Russo. Aaron Russo was being courted into the Council on Foreign Relations, right? And they give him certain information, all right? But what Carlin said, he was at the tail end of his life, and usually this typically happens when these people, these celebrities or so-called lesser luminaries, when they get to a certain age, you know, they start speaking, right? The scripture says in the book of the book of Psalms, right? I believe it's 68:4 or 64:8. Let me go to the first one, 68:4. Let me go to 64:8. Psalm 64, verse 8. Yep, Psalm 64:8. So they shall make their own tongues to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away, right? And that's where you get these people speaking, starting with the Edomites. Starting with the Edomites, and George Carlin, I don't think he was an Edomite, but these Edomites, you get these insiders. You had people like John Todd. You had people like Linda Thompson, right? And others, like the guy that just died recently. I forget his name, but he was like a scientist or something like that. He spoke on these things. And he said if he ended up getting, you know, so-called murdered or found dead, he didn't kill himself, right? Because he was exposing too much. This is why Jay Rockefeller said the internet, it would have been better if the internet didn't exist. He was speaking at a cybersecurity council, but in reality, in his heart, he was speaking about how their plans and how their identity is being revealed. The Elder Apostle Gabar, when he does videos recently, in the last few videos, he brought up Carol Quigley, who wrote the book Tragedy and Hope. And in Tragedy and Hope, Carol Quigley was a proponent for the elites. And he thought that the elite should come out. Like, you should tell the people who you are. But like Elder Apostle Gabar teaches us that secrecy is their mode operandi. That's how they get their jobs done. That's how they get everything done, is through secrecy. They'll play one hand against the other, right? You can't do that if you're outwardly exposed, okay? So again, this one big club and you ain't in it. And what inspired this lesson was actually this guy right here, Clarence Thomas, right? Everybody know Clarence Thomas, right? I remember when he got confirmed, it was a big thing about him and Anita Hill. You know, he was a total demon, right? He was a sexual deviant, and he ended up still becoming the Supreme Court, a Supreme Court judge, and he's been a Supreme Court judge for a long time, since like fucking 91. That's like almost 30 years, shit, well over 30 years. This guy, because this appointment is a appointment for life, right? So this guy right here, he's not upholding true justice. He's upholding the Edomite American way, right? That's what he's upholding. He's an insider, right? Everybody you see on these high levels and even mid-level, mid-tier, there's different levels to the elite in the society. And you got Jakes that's in the middle of that. So this image right here is what inspired this whole lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Shai. You see Clarence Thomas right here, the only Negro, and he ain't the only one there, but in this image, he's the only Negro sitting around with these high, powerful men. This guy right here, he's his guest. He's his guest to this thing, because you can't come to this unless you were invited, right? And so this guy, Hope, right? He's a billionaire, right? He ain't got no chain on his neck. He ain't got no rings on his hands. He ain't, you know, flashy and flex. He's just like a regular Edomite, but he's an insider, and he invited this guy right here, Clarence Thomas, to the Bohemian Grove. And if you know anything about the Bohemian Grove, you know that it's a place of wickedness and idolatry and evil, right? And so there's a quote I want to link up with what George Carlin said. The phrase, "I don't want nation thinkers out, I want nation of workers," is a famous quote widely attributed to John D. Rockefeller, but it was or his associate Frederick Gates, right? Let me get this. I wanted to get the whole quote. See if I can find it, right? Yeah, right here. I'll read this right here. So this is John D. Rockefeller, but his general board of education man, Frederick T. Gates, this guy right here, Frederick T. Gates, just bear with me, brothers. I want to see if he's related to, is this guy related to Bill Gates, right? Frederick T. Gates, this is the guy right here. Let me see who this guy, Frederick Taylor Gates, right, was a American Baptist clergyman and educator and a principal business and philanthropic advisor to major oil industrialist John D. Rockefeller. I just want to see if he's related to Bill Gates. I just want to see. Just bear with me, brothers. His descendants through his eldest son Frederick was the grandfather Frederick Taylor Gates, a Phillips Exeter Academy and Yale alumnus who married Patricia Brown, the daughter of William Stewart Forbes. Contrary to persistent internet rumors, Frederick Taylor Gates is not related to Bill Gates. Yeah. So anyway, let's go back to this. This guy right here, he made the statement, right? And that statement was, it says, the context, the sentiment appeared around 1902 to 1906, often linked to the work of the General Education Board, established by Rockefeller to fund education, which aimed to mold the population rather than create philosophers and scientists. The purpose, the intent was to support the industrial machine by producing workers who could follow instructions, sit in rows, and not question authority. And this is the reason why even today in modern education, it's the same thing that happens. When you go to these, from elementary school all the way to the collegiate level, right? You sitting in these rows and you're being instructed, right? You're not being taught to question authority. You're not even being taught to properly question the curriculum that's being given to you, right? You just, all you there to do is to get instructed. And they say like the people that graduated from college were supposed to be part of the managerial class, right? So you had the working class, which was people who would get like high school diplomas, right? Or who just had physical expertise and hands-on thing. And then you had the administrators with the supervisors, which usually were college graduates, right? And I really wish I could see the whole quote. Let me see if it see it right here. Because John D. Rockefeller didn't say it, but Frederick Gates, he said it, right? And it says right here, let's read this. It says, Rockefeller donated millions of dollars to the further public education and in America. It had strong views about how educational charities should function. He created his own charity, the General Education Board, in 1903. The charity shut down operations in 1964, described by the Rockefeller Center as the General Board of Education was devoted to the cause of improving education throughout the United States. But really, it wasn't to improve education. It was set up to create workers, right? To create work. I'm trying to see if I can find the quote. Y'all just bear with me, brothers. I just want to see if I can find a whole quote. I can't find a whole quote. But anyway, let me see if I can find it. Y'all just bear with me, brothers. I want to see if I can find this quote. Come on, man. The bullshit. All right. Let me see if I can find a whole quote. It says, yeah, well, it's pretty much right here. The sentiment appeared around 1902, often linked to the work of the General Education Board established by Rockefeller to fund education, which aimed to mold the population rather than to create philosophers or scientists, right? So they weren't trying to do that. And I really wish I could find a whole quote. Let me see if I can find a quote. Full. Right, there's a whole full quote about this, right? I don't need the context. I just want the whole quote. There's a whole quote that's better. I cannot find this quote to save my life, man. A nation of workers, not thinkers. Right here. A nation of workers, not thinkers. Right. So this is let's see if we can find a quote. Damn, bro, this shit don't make no sense. Every time it's like the internet has been so like really been sanitized, bro. They scrubbed a lot of this stuff. Paywall. Right. Remove paywall. They scrubbed a lot of this information. So it's really difficult. They make it difficult to find it. Oh man, bro, come on. It's opening shit up, bro. Right here. Right. So it says let me see. They ain't even give me the whole full quote. Yeah. So let's read this. It says the General Education Board was a non-governmental organization designed to support higher education and was funded primarily by John D. Rockefeller. Throughout his lifetime, he donated approximately $180 million. The board's objectives were to promote farming, to establish public high schools in the South, and develop programs for African Americans. Why was so much funding put into schooling? What was his motivation? Rockefeller said, I don't want a nation of thinkers. I want a nation of workers, because they said that they already got enough philosophers. They already got enough people who supposedly think and do all this other extra stuff. But he was like, they don't want that. They didn't want that. They wanted workers, right? They just wanted people who can follow instructions. And like my man George Carlin said, that's what they want, right? They just want you to be mindless drones, okay? And these people are a part of a club. They are a part of there are different levels of clubs. There are different types of clubs. You got the Council on Foreign Relations. You got the Bohemian Grove, right? Which initially started out as it's still primarily Edomite men, right? This is a homosexual rave. That's basically what it is. Every weekend, not every weekend, but every so often, every once a year in July, all these high-level people, businessmen, entertainers, politicians, you name it, wealthy, high-level, high-connected individuals, they get together and they make policy at these freak-offs, right? You talk about Diddy's freak-off with the baby oil. Well, the Bohemian Grove is one of the biggest freak-offs, and it's also an idolatrous celebration, right? That they have a 30-foot statue or something like that. The owl at Bohemian Grove, right? The owl at the Bohemian Grove. This right here, and they burn an effigy. They claim that the is just fake, and this is all supposedly this is all a show. All this that you see right here, they draped in these cloaks, right? They put these clothes, these elaborate shows on, and then they claim they play music to drown out the burning effigy, which is usually a child, right? Because that's what this owl represents, the owl of Molech, right? They claim that it's about wisdom. It's about, and which owls do represent the highest level of wisdom. But what kind of wisdom do they have? Is wisdom, and it's not wisdom. It's really knowledge and wickedness, right? As the scripture says in the book of, I believe it's Sirach, it says knowledge, right? This is in the Apocrypha. It says just bear with me. Knowledge. Let me see. Knowledge of wickedness. Knowledge of wickedness. Right? In the Apocrypha, it says yeah, right here. So Sirach chapter 19, verse 22. It says the knowledge of wickedness is not wisdom, neither at any time the counsel of sinners prudence. And that's what this is right here. This is a counsel of the wicked, right? And look, it was created in 1966, right? So I'm sure you can just turn that 6 upside and 9 upside down and it'd be 6. But I ain't gonna read too much into it. But it supposedly was established Midsummer's Encampment, Bohemian Grove, and it's invite only. And like I said, what are they doing there? They're doing something called the cremation of care. This is what they do. They dress up in hoods, and then they burn. You see right here, the skeleton. This is the skeleton of a child, and they call it the effigy. But then this is supposed to be theatrics, but in reality, this is nothing more than idolatry, high level idolatry, because that's what America is run off of: witchcraft, idolatry, wickedness, evil, sin, and iniquity. All of that plays a role here. So when you see a supreme justice, right, and a so-called Negro at that, which he was always a sellout. This dude never cared about his people, and you always had people like that. He could be a terror, who knows? But you always had Israelites that sided with the enemy. It's always been that way, right? You got this guy Tiberius Julius Alexander. He the one that helped destroy his own people, right? And he did it for who? He did it for the Tiberius. What's his nigga name? It says it right here. He did it for Titus, right? Vespasian and his son Titus. He destroyed his own people, right? This is Tiberius Julius Alexander, an Egyptian equestrian governor. He wasn't Egyptian, and general in the Roman army, born into a wealthy Egyptian Jewish family. They wasn't Egyptian. They were Israelites living in Alexandria, Egypt, right? He was not Egyptian. Born into a wealthy Egyptian Jewish family of Alexandria, but abandoning or neglecting the Jewish religion. He rose to become a second procurator of Judea under Claudius, while prefect of Egypt in 66 to 69, he employed his legions against the Alexandrian Jews. his own people, in a brutal response to ethnic violence, and was instrumental in the Emperor Vespasian's rise to power. In 70, he participated in the siege of Jerusalem as Titus' second in command. He became the most powerful Jew of his age, and his rank as one of the most prominent Jews in the military history. But what made him prominent? He had to destroy his own people. Right? It says right here, Tiberius Julius Alexander was probably born in the early reign of Emperor Tiberius. His father was Alexander, an Alexandrian Jew who held the office of Alabarch as head of customs at the Arabian frontier, but it may have denoted a senior customs official. The family of the older Alexander, a member of the Egyptian gentry, had Roman citizenship, something not infrequent among wealthy Jews of Alexandria. He also had business connections, both with Agrippa, grandson of Herod the Great, and Antonia, mother of the Emperor Claudius. Another prominent member of Tiberius Alexander's family was his uncle, the philosopher Philo. Yeah, Philo was a Jake. He was an Israelite. He was a Hellenistic Jew, right? He was a Jew that believed in Greek philosophies, but he was an Israelite. With both Tiberius and his younger brother, Marcus Julius Alexander, the father preferred to give them a grounding in classical languages rather than have them receive traditional Jewish education. So again, the same thing happened with my man Timothy and his father. Timothy's father was a Greek. He loved that shit. He loved to be a Hellen. He didn't want to partake in his cultural heritage of that being an Israelite, right? So this is no wonder that Esau still uses Israelites or people that look like Israelites, right, to destroy their own people. And this guy, he is at the highest level. And like Eustace Mellon said, if you see a judge, especially a high-level judge, he's already compromised. He was bought and paid for a long time ago when he was on a regular bench, sending niggas up, destroying his own people. So I'm gonna play this real quick video right here. Check this out.
And there should be no
Hey, I got a question because I really need to know. Do you ever get tired of being a bitch ass nigga? A pussy ass nigga. A pussy ass nigga. Do you get tired? Do you get tired? Do you get tired? Do you get tired? You's a lame ass nigga.
Here's a guy who, by his own admission, and there should be no shame in this, by the way, got into Yale Law School because of affirmative action. I think that was fabulous. I think nothing wrong with it. He apparently is ashamed of it, so much so that once he became a jurist on the courts, he decided his first and foremost obligation apparently was to help usher out the very programs that had opened the door for him. I'm not sure how to think about that except to believe that that is someone who does not have a problem with the system of white supremacy that marginalizes other black folks, as long as he got his. And he got his, and then he got out and basically said, that's it, we're done with that. I think if you look at his rulings, and particularly if you contrast his behavior as a judge and as a justice with the man he replaced on the court, Thurgood Marshall, you know, it's very interesting to see that one of the greatest jurists in America. Here's a guy who, by his own admission, and there should be no shame. Very interesting to see that one of
which Thurgood Marshall was a sellout too. He didn't care about his people for real. He just got put into the scene during the civil rights era. I think he was the one that did the Brown versus the Board of Education, and they ended up making this guy a Supreme Court judge at the highest. Remember, the Supreme Court was always ran by Edomites, right? It was always ran by Edomites. It was never, Jakes was never allowed to be in it until like recent years, right? Right here. Nothing but Edomites, man. From the beginning. In the 1700s, well, not 17, the 1700s, all the way down. It was nothing but Edomites, more Edomites, and they were all racist. And they hated Jakes, right? I think Strom Thurmond, I think he was something like that. He was one. Look at all these Edomites, man. And they were all about destroying Jake. And then eventually Esau wanted to make you Jakes think that you can move up in society, and they plant these people, and they had you thinking that, oh, look, if I just work hard enough, I can become a Supreme Court judge. Thurgood Marshall was the first Negro put on the bench, right? And he got put on there through a racist Edomite president, Lyndon B. Johnson. And they did that shit to quell all the uprising that was happening in America, all the racial uprising that was happening in America. They put that nigga there. He was the one nigga for 96 or 95 previous Supreme Court judges were Edomites. And then they kept it going. After him, they kept it going. They put Sandra Day O'Connor. She was the first woman, but she was an Edomite. Then they got this dude, Antonio Scalia. They killed him. Like, they destroyed this guy. And then this nigga right here. That nigga been on the bench for 34 years and 196 days. Right? This guy right here. And then they start putting more women up in it. And then they put Sonia Sotomayor. They had you Latin tribes thinking that, oh, look, you can make it up there too. No, you can't. She's a witch amongst warlocks. All these people are witches and warlocks, and then they give you this demon, Ketanji Brown Jackson, right? Making their careers off destroying people. And this guy right here, he's a sexual deviant. This guy right here, Brett Kavanaugh, he's a sexual deviant. All these people are tapped in. All these people are inside of the club, and that you can never get in on this side. All of these people, none of these people have the will of the people in their thoughts or in their judgments. And this guy right here, he's the Chief Justice. This guy, John Roberts, he's the Chief Justice, right? This nigga, he's gonna be the one that rules on a MOTB, the mark of the beast, the RFID microchip. How we know that? Because what's this guy, Joe Biden at the time, Senator Biden, he told him he's going to do that before his tenure is over. He only been in there 20 years, but he's a Chief Justice. This dude, Clarence Thomas, he been on the board for 34 years. He's not no Chief Justice. He's an Associate Justice, right? He's Associate Judge. Nigga, you associate, right? But he's tapped in, right? These guys right here, they're all tapped in.
For a large number.
Problem with.
Here's a guy who, by his own admission, and the purest in American history when it comes to civil rights and when it comes to human rights and progressivism, was replaced by one of the most reactionary justices because George H.W. Bush knew that you had to replace the black justice with another black justice. He didn't want to replace him, however, with the black justice that had a connection to the movement, that had a connection to the struggle. So he found one that had no connection to the struggle, and if anything, was ready to spit on the struggle. You look at what Clarence Thomas has said in these voting rights cases. He is perfectly prepared, apparently, to uproot the Voting Rights Act of 1965 because he thinks, as do many of his white colleagues, that we can trust the states that have a history of racism to just do everything right, which of course is absurd. The only reason they've been doing things right lately is because there's a law in place that forces them to do things right. And as Justice Ginsburg said, to say that you can get rid of that law just because it's working right now is like saying that I don't need my umbrella when it's raining because I'm not getting wet. Now, you're not getting wet because you got an umbrella. That's why. Here's a guy who, by his own admission, and there should be no shame in this.
He look like a nigga that you can't trust. This nigga would tell on every so-called Negro on a plantation to get master to love him. What? This is the book of First Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 11. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. Right? And that's likening to Clarence Thomas, right? That's likening to this guy, right? These Israelites, Tiberius, Julius Alexander. What's that one dude? Colin Powell. All these people. You had the General Austin. He got fired. He used to be the Secretary of Defense. All these people are sellouts, man. Which a lot of these Negroes, they're getting pushed out of the military. These high-ranking Negro officers, all of them will do the will of Esau because they love him, right? They love to make a covenant with this man. It says, so this device pleased them well, Then certain other people were so forward herein that they went to the king who gave them license to do after the ordinance of the heathen. So these are the leaders of Israel. Some of these leaders, and Jason, he paid his way to become a priest, a high priest. Okay, that wretch. But he was a sellout, right? They were so forward that they did what? They're herein that they went to the king who gave them license to do after the ordinance of the heathen when Yahweh Bashim Shai forbade us from doing after the ordinance of the heathen, right? When you look up the word Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 1, right? Jeremiah 10 and 1, it says, hear ye the word which Yahweh Bashim Shai speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith Yahweh, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. So we're not allowed to learn the customs and ways of the heathen. But Jake saw them in power, and they sided with them. And it was usually the aristocrats. They always start with them first, right? These ones that are wealthy, supposed leaders of the people, to have them sell out, right? It says, verse 14, whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem, which that goes back to Gymnos, which was a place where people were naked, men working around naked, working out next to each other, according to the customs of the heathen. So they did this in Jerusalem. They built a gymnasium. They bought they built a 24-hour fitness in Jerusalem, man. These niggas, right? And made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant because the other nations, they were uncircumcised. So these dudes walking around naked. They knew if you was an Israelite or not, not so-called. They knew if you was an Israelite or a Jew by looking at your penis, right? So what they do, they sew foreskin on their things to make it look like they weren't circumcised, man. And forsook the holy covenant and joined themselves to the heathen, wherein they sold to do what? Mischief. So all these guys, these people that you think are of our people, that you think they made it because they hard work and all this other stuff, and they got your best interests, and they're about the movement, like Tim Wise was saying. It wasn't really about the movement. This nigga Thurgood Marshall didn't care about the movement, and I'm sure he went to the Bohemian Grove too. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't about the movement. He wasn't about his people. He could care less. He was an insider, and then they hired this nigga. He was this guy, Clarence Thomas, man. He looked Nigerian, don't he? Because they are people there, Nigerians. But yeah, this dude Clarence Thomas, man. They hired this nigga. The nigga Stephen. Like, he's a modern day Stephen, man. You know. But again, it's one big club, and we ain't in it. Right? There's groups of people who gather together in wickedness to do evil, right? This is Zechariah 11, and I'll start at 11 and 4. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, my power, feed the flock of the slaughter, right? Who's possessed? Because who's the flock of the slaughter? We are the Israelites, right? And we're in the land of captivity, the valley of the shadow of death, and we're as a flock led to the slaughter here. Whose possessors slay them. Who is our possessors? The Edomites, starting with them and the other nations, but mainly talking about you banking elites. You the ones that are possessing us, and you slay us and hold themselves not guilty, right? We had nothing to do with slavery. That was nothing. It's these Negroes killing each other like hotcakes, right? But you don't tell them how you put the guns in the community, the drugs in the community, how you feed the children with hip hop, R&B. You know what I'm saying? All this hate music, destruction music, right? You call it music. This noise. You hypnotize Jake. With hatred against each other, right? Why you think the movies like Juice was coming out in the 90s? Juice, what's that? Menace to Society, Boys in the Hood, them hood classics, right? That was set up to what? To hypnotize you to destroy your brother. Like Juice wasn't a good movie. When you think about it, a dude, he killed all his friends, man. He killed all his friends, man. A nigga killed all his friends, and he ended up dying in the end. What's so cool about that? Why was that pushed so heavily. Then at the theater, niggas are shooting each other at the theater. Niggas get so excited by the violence that they start shooting each other in the theater, doing Esau's will. Right? So these people, they slay us, but they hold themselves not guilty. They that seldom say, blessed be the Lord, Yahweh Shah, for I am rich. So and that's what they say, God bless America. We're the wealthiest country on the earth. We're the richest country on the earth. But how'd you get that way? You had to destroy tens of millions, hundreds of millions of Israelites from the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom in America and throughout the world. Because they don't tell you about the numbers in Central and South America. They don't tell you about that, right? America trying to play it cool. Oh, we didn't have that many slaves imported, but nigga, you kept them. The ones you had, you kept. And those people that you had are the children of Israel. You took the apple. One of your brothers can put the precept on there about touching the apple of the Lord's eye, right? So it says, blessed be the Lord, for I am rich. And then what? And their shepherds with the leaders pity them not. And this nigga right here, Clarence Thomas, he don't pity you, Jakes. He only care about himself. Self-centered ass niggas. And there's a bunch of Clarence Thomases running around here. There's a bunch of Clarence Thomases that you think is real niggas. People that you look up to. Your Jay-Z's, your Beyonce's, your Cardi B's, your Denzel Washington's, your Spike Lee's. Them niggas don't care about their people. All they care about is themselves. Putting that bullshit out that Esau give them. Hey, you got Spike Lee dancing. You got Spike Lee dancing and trying to get you to get the digital chip, the digital R. Right? Where's it at? Salakia. Brother is he's live right now. This is a Spike Lee commercial. He did a finance commercial. Yeah, he had you niggas talking about the new money. Hold on. Right? This nigga right here, coon. Straight up coon, man. He came by the camp. This nigga came by the camp and ran. He ran by the camp on 34th and 7th, man. He didn't want to have nothing to do with the Hebrew Israelites, bro. Somebody asked him on a radio show, are you gonna make a video, a movie about the Hebrew Israelites, being black? He was like, somebody's gonna do it, but it's not gonna be him.
Our currency is not current. Old money, as rich as it looks, is flat out broke. Don't believe me? I got the receipts. We call it green, but it's only white. Where's the women, the black folks, and the people of color? Native Americans got a nickel. A nickel! People don't even stop and pick up a nickel off the sidewalk. 7 million Americans have no bank account. 20 million are underbanked. Old money is not going to pick us up. It pushes us down, exploits, systematically oppresses us. But new money is positive, inclusive, fluid, strong, culturally rich. Where status is anything but status quo.
Yeah, that's that chip, that MOTV. That's the new money, which is slavery, right? Everybody get it. Everybody gonna get it. Old, young, rich, and poor. And he shall cause them. Revelation 13 and 16. And he calls them all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead, and that no man might buy or sell, save he had the mark or the number of the name of the beast, which is what? 666. Right? So it's like he was talking about underbanked. He was talking about people that don't got no bank, and then he said the old money is outdated. Well, Trump said the same thing. He said the system, the economic system is outdated and old. So they're trying to bring something new. So they get these sellout niggas, Mr. Coon Man, and he made some good movies, but in reality, those movies were a throw off because this dude, he's a sellout. He's a long-time sellout. That nigga won an Oscar, he jumped in Samuel Jackson's arms like a bitch, put his legs around him, He had his ride pressed up against the nigga Samuel L. Jackson's stomach, man, on TV. You know what I'm saying? These people are not our people in the sense that they're definitely not the Israelites of the Most High, and they don't care about their people. All that black shit, that 40 acres of the mule shit, all that shit, it was all cat, man. It was all cat. That nigga don't give a fuck about his people. Right? What is he pushing? Transsexuality, homosexuality, lesbianism, right? They just push that there, and they wrap you so-called blacks up and put you Latinos up and put you under people of color, right? This is a man who cut his penis off and put a wig on, right? He's talking about this. Why they use these people? They use these people to hypnotize you, Jakes, to do what the man wants you to. Again, it's one big club and you ain't in it. But the Lord's about to shut this club down, right? And this is them what? Not pitying their people, not caring, not giving an F, right? What else I got? Right? And to show you that this whole witchcraft thing, and that this is Ronald Reagan, and this is Richard Nixon, right? At the time, Ronald Reagan was a governor, and I believe Nixon was a vice president. And they at the Bohemian Grove doing Lord knows what. Speaking about policy, dictating what they're going to do, sending out the messages that they got from the super elite, how they going to run the country for decades ahead. And you, Jakes, you wasn't a part of this table. You weren't at the table. You so-called Negroes, Latino, Native Americans. Why you don't go to this club? Because you ain't invited. You ain't invited. Clarence Thomas in the Bohemian Grove, what goes on at the all-male club? Homosexuality, murder, death, a debauchery, wickedness. And this old nigga, you think this old nigga ain't nasty. This nigga's nasty, bro. He's old and nasty, bro. He gets down, suck dick, all that shit. Shit, piss, all that shit. Kill, all that. He did all of that, and he's a judge. They got this nigga, but he's really a warlock. He's a lesser warlock. That's what he is. He's a warlock. The Bohemian Grove, an all-male club for the rich and powerful, is in the news after it was reported that Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas visited the retreat with billionaire friend. It says revealed that the Justice Thomas accepted luxury trips. So he was a hoe for the Edomite. Oh, we're gonna put you on, we're gonna give you some bread. Come to this Bohemian Grove this year, man. You'll be my special guest. And I'm gonna trick off on you. But you gonna have to pay me and what I tell you to do. And he's like, yes, boss, whatever you like. Thomas accepted luxury trips around the world from billionaire Republican donors, Harlan Crow. This included a visit to the Bohemian Grove, located in a remote Sonoma County north of San Francisco. And you know San Francisco is a city of freaks, right? Bohemian Grove exclusivity and secrecy has inspired both protests and conspiracy theorists. The club that runs the retreat insists that the business talk is forbidden. No, it ain't. But reports say some of America's most powerful men have cut deals, networked amid the odd assortment of performances and rituals at the 150-year-old club. Rituals, bruh. So it wasn't established in 1966. It was established in 1872. 1872, man, niggas just got out of slavery. Right? Bohemian Club was started by journalist, artist, and musician in San Francisco in 1872. Mark Twain was an early member. Right? So you had writers, you got people of all caliber people up there, man. What really goes on? They ain't gonna tell you what really goes on. Right? That dude Alex Jones, he snuck up in there supposedly, but he was invited to go up in there, man. In 2000, a conspiracy theorist Alex Jones snuck in and recorded one of the club's rituals, the burning effigy. He made documentary filled with lurid accusations about the grand plots and human sacrifice. He was accompanied by journalist John Ronson, who had an altogether different take. He later wrote, "My lasting impression was of an all-pervading sense of immaturity. I wonder whether the Bohemians shroud themselves in secrecy of reason, for reasons no more sinister than they thought it was cool." So these old ass niggas playing child games Absolutely not. Absolutely not. These people are warlocks, bro. Right? And this ain't the only club. You got this one thing right here. This demon, when she was alive, when she first got in, right before she got coronated, Queen Elizabeth, she became a Welsh bard, right? Which basically was a druid. It was a druid customs. It was witchcraft.
In a beautiful Welsh glade at Mountain Ash, the Gorsedd Circle had been erected for the national Eisteddfod of Wales. To the ancient ceremonial and the age-long traditions of the bards is added a new note. Princess Elizabeth becomes an honorary bard. In the same valley, a few hundred yards away, are the pits and colliery villages of Wales. But here, for a little while, the past and the present meet. Wearing the emerald green robe of the novitiate, the princess's name is added to the roll of bards.
Elizabeth o Windsor.
None of this has anything to do with worship of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. None of this. These are all witches and warlocks.
An archdruid salutes a princess.
Archdruid salutes the princess, man. So what are the druids, man? The druids was a druid was a member of a high-ranking priestly class in ancient Celtic cultures. He got a basketball team named after these niggas. The druids were religious leaders as well as legal authorities, adjudicators, lore keepers, medical professionals, and political advisors. So this was one of them clubs. Druids left no written account. While they were reported to have been literate, they are believed to have been prevented by doctrine from recording their knowledge. Why? Because they didn't want nobody to know what they had going on. It was secret in written form. Their beliefs and practices are attested in some detail by their contemporaries from other cultures, such as the Romans and Greeks. The earliest known reference to the Druids dates to the 4th century BCE. The oldest detailed description comes from Julius Caesar. They were described by other Roman writers as Cicero, Tacitus, and Pliny Elder, following the Roman invasion of Gaul. The Jewish order were suppressed by the Roman government under the 1st century by Emperors Tiberius and Claudius. It had disappeared from written record by the 2nd century. In about 750, the word Druid appears in a poem in Blackmont, who wrote about Jesus, saying that he was better than a prophet, more knowledgeable than every Druid. Yahweh Shai never said that. A king who was a bishop and complete sage. The Druids often appear in both tales from Irish mythology, first written down by monks and nuns in Celtic churches, right? It says, but also later Christian legends where they are largely portrayed as what? Sorcerers, man, who opposed the introduction of Christianity by missionaries, of course, because they're witches and warlocks. In wake of the Celtic revival in the 18th and 19th centuries, fraternal and neo-pagan groups were founded based on ideas about ancient Druids and movements known as Neo-Druidism, right? This is witchcraft. Many popular notions about Druids based on misconceptions of 18th century scholars have been largely suppressed by more recent studies. So these are nothing but warlocks and witches, and they believe in the wand. So I asked this question, right? When Queen Elizabeth died, they broke a wand. They broke her Druid wand over her casket. It says the wand or staff of office was broken by the Lord Chamberlain over Queen Elizabeth's casket to symbolize the final end of her service to her as a sovereign. This ancient tradition occurred at her funeral, committal service, signaling that her reign was over and that the Lord Chamberlain's duty was concluded. Now, keep in mind this word for wand, right? I asked this question. What did the Jews believe about the wood from the holly tree? Right? This is where you get Hollywood from, right? Druids regarded the holly tree as sacred, viewing it as a symbol of fertility, eternal life, and protection. This is paganism, because Yahweh Shem Yahushai gives fertility to men and women through the seed, right? Yahweh Shem Yahushai gives eternal life to who? His people, starting with the elect, and protection against evil spirits. Who gives that? Yahweh Shem Yahushai, not some goddamn holly tree. It says in protection against evil spirits due to its evergreen nature, going back to the ancient Babylonian practices. They believed the wood held magical protective properties, using it to craft powerful wands that could banish malevolence and plant. This is where you get Harry Potter from, and planting it near homes for protection against lightning. You see, protection and magic. Druids believed that the tree repelled negative energy. Sprigs were hung on doorways to ward off evil spirits. The wood was used for wands. You see, what was the queen? What was the queen's wand or staff made of? Right? The wand or staff of the office broken on Queen Elizabeth's funeral was a thin staff made of white wood, approximately 5 to 6 inches long. It featured a silver plate and a base engraved with the office of the Lord Chamberlain. It was broken to symbolize the end of her service. So it says the material was white wood. What is white wood? Is white wood like Hollywood? Is white wood like Hollywood? No, white wood is not typically like Hollywood. While both are light colored, holly is regarded as the whitest natural wood available. Yeah, and that's probably what it really was. But they said it was made of white wood, right? And it says known for its extreme ivory white color, right? Let's look at the color of the queen's staff that was broken. Right here. This is it right here. This is the staff that was broken, right? When the bitch died, because she was a witch. The bitch was a witch. She don't deserve no respect. Fuck that hoe. And her son. And them people. They're gonna get destroyed. There's gonna be a visitation on all the idols when Yahweh Bashim Shai come. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 29, verse 15. Woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel. For Yahweh Bashim Shai, and let me read that again. Woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from Yahweh Bashim Shai. And their works are in the dark, and they say, who seeth us and who knoweth us? So these people, when they're doing these wickedness, they think that they're hiding this counsel from the Lord. They think that Yahweh Bashim Shai can't see their wickedness, right? But there's angels standing right there watching everything, reporting everything, right? The eyes of the Most High is what 10,000 times brighter than the sun, beholding everything, right? But these people do that. The scripture says, "Whoa." Right? Surely you're turning the things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. Good is evil, evil is good. For shall the work say of him that made it, he made me not? Or shall the thing framed say of him that framed it, he had no understanding? And that's what Esau does. He thinks he's a God because they tapped into the left-hand side of the Lord and they dealing with Satan and these demons through these ancient ritualistic customs. They think that they're a God. They think they got power. But you sorely mistaken. It's Isaiah chapter 47, right, verse 12. Stand now with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so be, thou shalt be able to profit. If so be, thou mayest prevail. Right. If you use enchantments, this witchcraft that you're doing, that you've been dealing with since you were a young nation, right? Let's see if it's going to deliver you from the evil that's coming, and that you're going to prevail against Yahweh Shem Shai. Because who's bringing this evil? Yahweh Shem Shai. He's bringing this evil to the world, starting with the elites and 2/3 of our own people, because that's part of his wrath. In the NLT, it says, "Now use your magical charms. Use the spells you have worked at all these years. Maybe they will do you some good." maybe they can make someone afraid of you, and we're not afraid of you, right? The scriptures say that there's no enchantment that can work against Jacob, right? So it says, verse 13, thou art weary in a multitude of thy counsel. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee. Because these high-level politicians, businessmen, whatever, actors, they all deal with astrologers, stargazers, monthly prognosticators, witches, warlocks. One of the modern-day witches that people know about is this demon right here, Maria Abramovich, right? And there's more Maria Abramovich and others. But this demon right here, they got a video. I saw a video maybe like a couple weeks ago. She did an art exhibit where she let men come and bust off on her. They was butt naked and she was just standing there and she let them bust off. They let them bust off on her. It's like the artistic performance where Marina Abramovich remained motionless next to 72 objects and people could use them to care for her or harm her, revealing the darkest side of human beings. Right? So she stood there and got beat. And this is one of them satanic rituals, man. The bitch sitting across the table doing witchcraft in front of all these people and nobody cares. Right? Nobody stops. This demon right here, they had a gun. Right? It says in 1974, performance artist Maria Abramovich began a 6-hour, they love that number 6, right? Performance piece in a gallery in Naples. During that 6 hours, she allowed anyone to select from the table 72 objects and use them on her as they wish. She's a freak. Fucking freak. This is what she do. And your favorite artists and singers, they love this demon. Right? They gave this bitch a satanic cross. Right? She's a monster. This bitch is a monster. Right? But this is who you uphold in society. In a righteous kingdom, this bitch wouldn't even live. She would get put to death immediately. Immediately. Get her up out of here, bro. And she's gonna get put down. When Yahweh Shemel Shai deliver us from this place, she's gonna get put down. All these witches, and she ain't the only one. With that nigga Noah Harari, the sodomite demon. This guy right here, he's a warlock. He's a priest on the left-hand side. This guy right here, he's gonna get put down. All right. I'm just looking at the comment board. Right? So see if these people are going to deliver you from the destruction that's coming. Verse 14. Behold, they shall be as stubble. The fire shall burn them. They shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. Which flame? The nuclear fire. The chariot fire. And Yahweh Bashim Shai, the Most High, is going to be in that fire. He's going to turn it up. He's going to burn it. It's going to be crazy. There shall not be a cold or warm at, nor a fire to sit before it. They shall be, thus shall they be unto thee with whom thou hast labored. Even the merchants from thy youth, they shall wander every one to his quarters. None shall save thee. Nothing's going to save Babylon and the people in it. Only ones that's getting saved is the elect. Right? Is the elect of Israel. Right? So these are your politicians, man. These are the freak offs. They locked Diddy up for the freak off. But these niggas, all these presidents go to this shit. George Bush Jr. All your presidents get up in there. Ronald Reagan, all your senators, all your business leaders, all these are people that make policy, bruh. Tell me what this got to do. And men can gather in righteousness, but men can also gather in wickedness. We as the Israelites that believe in Yahweh Shemel Shai, we're gathered in righteousness. We ain't doing no freak off shit like this. Right? We ain't doing you'll never see brothers go to the woods and hang out and do some weird shit like that. Now we go to the woods, go to nature, and brothers get, we enjoy what Yahweh Shemel Shai has created. But Esau, he can't do that. He gotta do the freak nasty. He gotta do the freak ultra nasty. Right? This is what he does. This is what they do. You know what they do. You know how they get down. Right? Look at this shit. This is H.L. Hunt. This guy, let me show you. This guy right here, his H.L. Hunt. It's not small. But anyway, this guy right here, this is H.L. Hunt. His sons are Lamar Hunt, or his son Lamar Hunt, and his children. They own the Kansas City Chiefs. This dude was a racist, bro. He hated Jake, but he also propped up the Nation of Islam with money, right? And this is Richard Nixon, yep, George Markison, and Herbert Hoover. Okay, I thought this was H.L. Hunt. I'm sorry, it's a locket. This ain't H.L. Hunt. This is Herbert Hoover. Herbert Hoover, is that what is he? Was he the president? Let me see something. Relaxing at the Bohemian Grove. Relaxing. And then Nixon said that he hated the Bohemian Grove. He said it was the most faggoty thing on earth. But he was up in there. He was getting down. Who the hell was Herbert Hoover? I think he was a president, wasn't he? Was he a president? Yeah, this dude right here, he was a president, the 31st president. He died in 1964. But in 61, he was at the Bohemian Grove getting busy, getting nasty. Nixon said it was the most faggoty thing on the earth. He said that. But he was up there with smiles, showing all 32 teeth, man. Salaki, I thought that was H.L. Hunt. They both look alike. If you see H.L. Hunt and Herbert Hoover, they actually look alike. But look at it. President Reagan and the Bohemian Club is a secret society. 5 American presidents belong to it, and not only 5, a whole bunch of them do. All of them, man. They all get down. They get nasty. You know how they do. Yeah, the brother said you all Harari is a British cigarette. Yeah, we know what the term for cigarettes is in British. In Britain. So yeah, man, I just wanted to bring this out. I think that's pretty much all I had. Yeah, that's pretty much it, man. That was pretty much it, man. So, you know, I didn't get to read the comment board. Let me go to the comment board real quick. The brother, GMS DC Tazadat, Shalom to you, my brother. First Maccabees 1:48. That they actually, I saw that. Wow, this brother put everything up there. I'm sorry, brother. I'm just trying to. I'm gonna get to a couple. I'm gonna pull a couple. I started this one. First Maccabees 1:42. We read this earlier, and everyone should leave his law. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandments of the king. Right? Yeah. Many also of the Israelites consented to his religion. And what? Sacrifice unto idols and profane the Sabbath. And that's what they're doing today. They're doing the same thing. Your preachers, these high-level preachers, they're insiders too, man. Your comedians, your artists, you can't run to none of them for help because they all sold out. They're all demons, right? All your civil rights leaders, right? All these lawyers, these judges, these politicians, prosecutors, they all are part of the club. Right? For the king has sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judea that they should follow the strange laws of the land and forbade burnt offerings and sacrifice. So we can't worship Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. We got to worship their idols. It's the same thing that's happening today. They don't want us worshiping Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. They want us to sacrifice to their devils, to their idols. Our God is not an idol. Our God is a living power. And forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbath in festivals, man. This is what Esau does when he gets in power, man. That's why the scriptures, one of you brothers can post 2nd Ezra chapter 15, verse 4. Baba Gishah says, and pollute the sanctuary of the holy people. You see? It says, set up altars in groves. Hey, that's what Bohemian Grove is. It's a grove. In chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts. So Esau, he get access to the temple. What he do? He make you sacrifice everything that's abominable to the Lord and do all the things that are abominable. They was having sex up in there. They turned it into a freak show, bro. That they should also leave their children uncircumcised and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation, right? To the end that they might forget the law and change all the ordinances. And that's what they wanted us to do. That's why they don't push the laws of Yahweh Bashim Shai in this society. It is not pushed at all. But they take the Bible in their hand, claiming that they love him. Oh, I love the Lord. We love the Lord is wrong. I don't want to be right. I guess the brother didn't post it. I was trying to get the precept where it said 2nd Ezra chapter 15, verse 4. But I guess I'll just pull it. Right? This is 2nd Ezra chapter 15, verse 4. Says Salakia. Yeah, I'll start at 4. For all the unfaithful shall die their unfaithfulness, and that's all you non-believing Israelites. It says, behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, and the sword, famine, death, and destruction. It says, for wickedness, this is the point, for wickedness have exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled, man. So you see it. You see it. You see all this wickedness that's going on in the earth, man. And who's pushing it out? Esau, Edom. Esau, Edom, man. So yeah, man, you got these elite groups, Council of Foreign Relations, and you got the super duper clubs where it's just Edomites, elite family members, right? It's just Edomites that are part of the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the DuPonts, the Getty, the Longos, all of them people, man. Those are all insiders. You can never get in that club. Not even a wealthy Edomite. If you ain't part of their ilk, you ain't getting in. You're not getting in, bro. So it says, the brother GMS DC Tazadakia Yerah 144K Isaiah 26:10. Let favor be showed to the wicked, yet will he not learn righteousness. In the land of uprightness will he deal unjustly, and will not behold the majesty of the Lord. Right? He's not. Esau can never behold the majesty of the Lord. And in the land of uprightness is Israel. He's doing unjustly over there, bro. So yeah, this has been this one big club, and you ain't in it. I hope you were edified. I hope you got something out. If you were edified, if you got something from this, I see 26 people watch this. Just put a one on the comment board. Baba good shot. If you were edified and you got some good information that you can use to build off of and apply using the precepts. And if not, put a 2. I'll just try harder next time. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, just put a 1 on the comment board. You know, hey, the Wadi Hashem Shad brothers putting 1 up there. It's with that. Give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Josh. It's a double honor to the apostles and the bishop elders, a great millstone for teaching word and truth and sincerity, and for ruling well. Citations to the elect. Keep pushing, keep striving. Shabbat Shalom. And we almost out of here. Hey, Shalom, my brothers. Hey, Shalom. And sisters. Shalom.